Hi, welcome to the Divine Insight Show. My name is Travis and I am your host. I am here today talking about mastering your mind to master your life. I'm really excited about this topic. It's one that I've worked on for most of my life, continue to work on as I learn how to create more of what I want in my life and in order to create a healthier body. And it's many of the lessons that I've learned over time that I'm excited to share with you today. I think when we talk about the mind, we really want to understand a little bit more about how the mind has an effect on the body, and not just the physical body, but our energy body. So I'm going to talk a little bit about physics. We're going to understand a little bit more about the human energy system and vibrational medicine. I'm going to talk about the chakra systems in the body and how your thoughts affect those systems, and that those systems, when working well and properly fed by appropriate nutrition and healthy, loving thoughts, can feed our bodies better and can be better able to support every healthy function in the body. So I think this is an incredibly important topic because what we know about lower vibrational thoughts of maybe suicide, depressive thoughts, or thoughts that are angry or worry or guilt or shame, those are very low vibrational frequency thoughts. And I'm going to talk about how those vibrational thoughts actually affect the body and our health system. So thank you for joining me wherever and whenever you are doing so. I don't think it's any accident that you're here. I'm really excited to share this with you and hope that you continue to join me whenever you like. So my website is divineinsight.com. I have updated events in the LA area, and I'm excited to let you know that I will be joining Liberate Hollywood, which is a wellness center that is located in the center of Hollywood. I'm really excited about my relationship with them. I'll be going there several days a week, and I'll be offering readings and also healings and also some workshops and meditation classes there. I'm really excited about that. But back to the topic of the day, master your mind, master your life. I think one of the things I like to keep in mind is that we have millions of thoughts in a day, and only a fraction of those are we conscious of. So one of the first things I want to tell you is, in order to understand how you might be negatively impacting your body and your life, it's important to understand what thoughts you have on any given subject that I'll be talking about today. Because of the major areas of the body that our chakra systems govern, our thoughts either support or reduce its ability to move properly. And that's really the point I want to reemphasize with you. So when it comes to understanding not just how this works, but why it works, I think it's important to understand a little bit about physics and what we are learning about the body and our cells. So we understand from sort of classic physics that we all are made up of subatomic particles, atoms, and molecules, and that our classic understanding of the atom was that we could get really, really, really close to understanding what size it is, but the closer we got to understanding its size, the less we were able to understand about where it was located. The closer we were to understanding where it was located, the less we were able to find out its size. So despite having incredible microscopes to see our atoms, we understand that even if it's a solid object, my physical skin, this couch that I'm sitting on, the molecules within that solid object are still moving. And so what I want to reemphasize is that we have these systems in our bodies that are supported by vibrational energy. Atoms want to move. If they stop moving, they die. And we understand that energy really just changes form. It cannot actually die, but our body systems may shut down and stop working if the movement of the energy within that energy body, if you will, stops working properly. So our thoughts literally direct energy and, direct matter, and energy follows our thoughts. So I want to talk a little bit about our energies here, and the focus kind of at the higher level is we are vibrational beings, and at any given time, our frequency is related in many ways to the emotions that we're expressing. And those emotions can, in fact, be measured through Kirlian photography. We can understand what frequency I might be emitting in order to look at maybe my auric field at any given time. There are computers now that can measure our chakra systems and understand the frequencies. But what I want to emphasize, just for the purpose of this show, is that we understand that chakras exist, and a chakra is literally a spinning wheel. It's a Sanskrit word that essentially means movement. And each chakra that we have 7 primary chakra areas. We have 2 that have one side to them, our first chakra, which is our root chakra, and our 7th chakra, which is our crown. And those go directly down from the center of our coccyx, our root system does. And our crown goes directly from the top of the head up about 6 inches from the top of the head. And these are vortexes. They look like little cones, and they have a point and one end, and they're roughly 2 inches, maybe about like this. If those of you who are watching the video, I've got my, like if you put your finger out and then the other hand at about 2 inches away, and it's basically cyclical. And so it's a cylinder that spins. Think of it like a cone, or maybe a funnel might be a good way of thinking about it. And these funnels spin in a clockwise motion. Our root system, which goes directly to the core of the center of the earth, is nourished by earth energy. And that root system, when we are grounded, allows us to feel supported, nurtured, and loved. We have security in our decisions. We aren't afraid of making big life choices because we always know that the universe is supported. We are supported by the universe at all times. And if that is you, then great. Then what that tells us is that, you have a healthy movement of the grounding energy in your body, and you feel really earthbound. There are other people that struggle with major life decisions when it comes to maybe changing a job or moving to a new city or moving to a new home, because they feel like the universe doesn't support them, and they might have a lot of questions about how is this going to work, and I don't trust this, or and things like that. So when you have thoughts that I am here, I am safe, I am protected, those are the types of things that nourish our root chakra. And so this chakra is red in color. When current science was able to measure the chakra, what they did is they put EEG electrodes at various points in the body, and what they were able to determine was that in the same 2 inches around where any given chakra enters our body is a higher vibrational frequency than the skin right next to it or outside of the chakra. So it, in essence, demonstrated that there was, in fact, a higher vibrational movement going on in the physical body than we were able to perceive with our eyes. And as these scientific experiments were going on, they were able to determine that the frequencies actually match the color of the chakras that seers or psychics or shamans had always described and have been describing for thousands and thousands of years. And they match the color frequency of that chakra, which is really fascinating. And also there is a sound frequency which resonates. And what I think is very interesting is that each chakra, it comes in through the back for the 5 chakras that are from our in the torso, if you will, to the abdomen. Those 5 chakras, which in essence are from the bottom of from the base of our spine. We have the root, again, that goes down from the base of our coccyx down essentially a few inches between our legs. We have the sacral chakra, which is just below the belly button, and it has 2 sides, one that comes in through the back, into the back, and out through the front. So the side of your body, you can see that everything comes in through the back and out through the front. And so from there, the second chakra is orange in color. The root, if I didn't already mention, is red in color. The sacral chakra is orange. The solar plexus, which is about self-love, self-worth, is yellow in color. The heart chakra, just about that, above that in the center of the chest, is green, bright green, vibrant emerald green. The throat chakra is blue, and the third eye is purple. And the crown is gold or white, often white with gold sparkles, is kind of how I see it when I look at the energy body. And all of these chakras are communicating with our bodies and each other at all times. The chakra's job is to move energy from one plane to the next. So as energy, as the frequencies come into the body, it either supports our body and nourishes our body or not, and flows out through our front. And so it essentially, imagine like a breath, you breathe in, energy comes in, you expel, and it goes out. So that's how our lungs operate. And imagine that that's how our chakras need to operate as well. So they spin like this in a counterclockwise motion to each other, and they need to move. So this one needs to go this way and this the other way. I can't do it visibly, but you get the concept. So they need to spin properly. Oftentimes, since our back is where we receive energy, imagine listening to music that makes your spine tingle. That's kind of an example of a physical way in which a vibrational frequency enters the body. You can actually feel it. And so you can sort of auto-create those types of experiences yourself by envisioning the frequency of that chakra as it enters your body. We don't have time to talk about that in much more detail today, but because we're talking about thoughts. And so I want to focus on the thoughts that you have and how those affect these chakra systems. So I talked a bit about the root chakra and how our thoughts about whether we're safe, grounded, protected, nourished are there. Then that chakra feels grounded, we feel safe. So the next chakra I want to talk about is the sacral chakra, and that is, again, like I said, orange in color. So that one, first let me just back up. The root chakra governs our bones and our blood, so it has primary responsibility for our immune system and our bone strength. And so if we don't feel grounded, we can often bounce off the walls or trip. We're not feeling like safe, so we're moving around too quickly. We're not really grounded into our bodies. Yeah, that's it about that one. The sacral chakra, again, is orange in color. It's about relationships. And so we think about the primary relationships that we have would be with our family, with our job. And so when we have thoughts about relationships, or even unconscious thoughts about relationships, the effect on the body is the same. We have a vibrational frequency that's emitted from our brain or consciousness that vibrates at whatever frequency that thought exists in. And it then will go to whatever part of the body that governs that type of thought. So thoughts about relationships will come down into our sacral chakra. So what I also find fascinating is the spine is, think of it like the will center. The chakras literally meet at the center of the spine, and the energy flows up. Kind of our divine spiritual energy comes from below in our perineum, it goes up to the perineum and back, but it looks like a serpent coming up our spine. That's called Kundalini energy. We're not going to talk about that today, but today we're going to talk about the vibrational frequencies of thoughts. So one of the recent, I know I skip around a lot, sorry about that, but one of the things that I found fascinating, I had on a guest on my show and talked about the science of epigenetics, which is actually understanding that our cells actually have a consciousness. I also had Mind to Matter, Dawson Church, on my show, whose book most recently talked about the incredible science behind the effect that the thoughts have also on the cellular health of our bodies, and it affects our immune system. So I've also talked to other folks. Greg Braden had some science around heart coherence, and when we spend time getting into our heart and the vibration of the heart that's healthy, we are activating our own internal immune system response. We're connected to the earth, we're connected to Mother Nature, we're connected to animals and our collective consciousness much more easily when we are out of our brain and into our body. But at the same time, we have a mind, we have thoughts that continue to happen on a regular basis. And I think it really lends itself to understanding that in order to truly live a life that I want to live, I have to understand the ways in which my thoughts have created a reality that doesn't work for me or that isn't my divine reality. How do I know that that's happening? Well, I come up against roadblocks all the time. If I'm unhappy, I have relationships that don't nourish me, I feel depressed or anxiety or worried all the time, then we have thoughts that are on an ongoing basis. Sometimes we might believe that it's the basis of some experience that we have or our work, but we created that by accepting that job. We brought ourselves into that environment. And so this is one example. I want to kind of emphasize that we are all co-creators at all times with the universe. Everything that you are right now, everything that you have in your life is the direct result of every thought that you've had and action that you've taken up until now. Rather than spend any time worrying or thinking or berating the past, which doesn't exist, it's important to understand what thoughts you want to have now in order to create the future that you want, which also doesn't exist until it is. So the point that I want to make is the only thing that you have any obligation or responsibility or capacity to change is how you think about yourself and the world around you right now, in this moment, at this time. And we have, an emotional guidance system. Our bodies are designed to have emotions, and it's our responsibility to understand what those are, how to work with our own bodies, and how to understand how our thoughts are affecting those. So when we go into the relationship chakra, what I was talking about, the sacral chakra, if we have healthy thoughts about relationships, such as my relationships nourish me. I feel passionate about my life because I have people that I enjoy spending time with. My job feels good to me. I love the family that I've chosen, or I've cut out the family that doesn't work for me. Whatever that looks like, you have the responsibility and the free will to decide to change your life in any way that you want. Deciding what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, particularly around how you treat yourself, is going to be a great thing to learn how to do in order to start making those changes that you want to in your life. In particular, understanding those things that you don't like about yourself are really the areas that you want to focus on loving the most. Start with that, because so often we judge the things that we don't like about ourselves when truly those are our greatest gifts. The things that make us unique, the things that make us interesting, the things that make us tick. When we project our own self-loathing onto other people's perception of us, oftentimes we can have a distorted reality about what's really happening. There are so many presumptions that we make without any external data based on what I project. So if I think of myself as not being lovable, then my solar plexus is not going to be working properly. And ultimately, I'm going to have dis-ease in this area of my life. If I truly, absolutely loved myself, then I would only consume things that are healthy and vibrant and nutritious for my body. That doesn't mean that if I eat a donut, I hate myself. For me, I love cashew milk ice cream, and I have a little bit of that all the time. Every day, a little bit, because I enjoy it, but I also eat a lot of other things that nourish me. But my point is, what thoughts do you have about yourself while you're eating? And if you tell yourself, I hate myself while you're eating, then your body's going to respond to that emotional frequency that you're sending out by hating yourself. I remember when I was smoking, I used to smoke for about 10 years. I smoked clove cigarettes. And I just, even smelling one now, I literally want to jump the person and ask if I could have one, even though it would probably make me cough for a really long time. But I remember when I was smoking, I hated myself for smoking. I smoked and I smoked and I smoked, and every time I remember sitting there going, I literally told myself, I'm a piece of shit. Why do I do this to myself? I can't believe I'm doing this. Why? And ultimately, what I realized one day is that, you know what? I'm a smoker right now. I smoke. And I'm tired of beating myself up about it. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. In fact, I'm going to enjoy it. And and so I did. I made the decision to love myself despite the fact that I continued to do something that I know was killing me. And I said, I'm going to love myself anyway, and I'm going to enjoy it. And ironically, 2 weeks later, I quit smoking for good. Um, when we support ourselves with love, anything's possible. And we can change the narrative that we have, some unconscious narrative that exists, that we are unworthy of something that we haven't even tried for. Um, so I talked about the first, second, and third. So the fourth chakra is love. Am I able to give and receive love? And so it's really, what are my thoughts about love that govern this area of the body? Oftentimes, we know really well how to give love. We love giving love. We appreciate it. It feels good. We're good at it. But we often don't know how to receive love for all kinds of reasons. But the reality is we just don't receive love in an equal level to how we give it. And then we can actually see it in our bodies. We'll be slunched over. We'll just be giving more, and there's nothing coming into the back. Physically, that's how it looks. And when we don't feel like we deserve love, again, that can also affect our solar plexus, but our heart chakra wants to receive love because we deserve it, not because we've done anything, but because we are children of God. We are, in fact, deserved of love. And I say children of God to say, not from a religious standpoint, but because we are all God-like in a spiritual way. We have a consciousness. We have a spirituality that is measurable. We have a consciousness that exists. And that's what I mean when I say we are all of that same consciousness. So we are all of whatever God concept we believe in or not. So one thing to think about is ask yourself whether you know how to receive love. And if your life if you don't have love around you throughout your day, you don't feel it, then it's likely that you don't have thoughts that support your deservedness of it. Otherwise, it would show up. The throat is really interesting. It is the highest receptivity center in the body. It is a vibration that comes from your throat. So speaking and even speaking the truth or a truth, a narrative, that's what this chakra is about. So the highest vibration that this blue chakra can have is when you are speaking your truth with divine authenticity. And when you know yourself really well and you are true to yourself and you speak the truth about yourself and your relationship to the world, then the world responds in kind. If you aren't speaking your truth, if you aren't speaking up, you have something to say and you're not doing it, you can have problems with the throat. You can cough sometimes, because this chakra also governs the teeth and the gums and the tongue. Let me back up. The heart governs the chest and the hands. I didn't mention that before. But the throat is about truth, and it's really interesting vibrationally how the universe responds to throat chakra and the vibrations of the throat, because as I talked about before, the vibrational frequency, we have a thought and that has a vibrational frequency. One fundamental law of the universe is that which is unto itself is drawn. So what I speak, what I vibrate, I attract to myself. I do that with my thoughts. If I have inconsistent thoughts about a subject, like money, for example, then I will continue to get and lose money based on my shifting of my thoughts about it or beliefs about it. When we aren't speaking our truth, again, we can actually have problems. For example, let's just say that I'm not speaking up in a relationship. I have something to say and I'm holding back for whatever reason. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of being alone, because I might exaggerate a reaction to say, well, if I confront a person or perceive to confront somebody, maybe they'll break up with me and they'll never want to be with me again. That very well may be true, but if it is, then that isn't somebody that you should be with anyway, and you aren't in a divine relationship. You're in a codependent one or some other type of relationship. But my point is, when you have a thought, it definitely resonates into the universe, but it's a non-physical aspect that has a lower vibrational rate. So there is an effect on the body. The throat, however, what you say has a stronger vibrational resonance in the earth realm, therefore has a faster response rate to attracting things. So when you say it and it becomes true, then that is your truth. Now, you could be wrong. You could be lying to yourself about something. But the point is, what you are saying has strong resonance. The third eye, or the sixth chakra, is just above the forehead, and it's in between the eyebrows. It comes in at your occipital ridge, so energy, and actually psychic energy comes in through the back of your head. The brain tries to understand it, interpret it, often not well, and then it goes through your five senses. So this chakra governs your five senses, and it governs our multisensory abilities. So when you have thoughts about trusting your intuition or trusting yourself, then that is this area of the body, and it governs, it oversees, if you will, the brain, the autonomic system, the nervous system, and some of our other systems. So one of the things that we want to encourage is the trust of ourselves in making decisions and in using our intuition to our benefit. So it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the better you get at using it. You get stronger, your intuition strengthens, and it expands. So if you don't trust yourself, or you're afraid to trust yourself for whatever reason, then you might have, or you're not listening to your intuition, then it's entirely possible that you'll be have spouts of like dizziness or headaches or nausea more often than not. And working on trusting yourself, making decisions that are empowered, is how you can properly, or excuse me, more support this area of your body. The seventh chakra is, again, the top of the head. And you can actually feel the top of your head. There might be this spot at the very top that's a little bit sore or tender. So if you push on it and you feel a tenderness, you've probably found that chakra where it enters the body. And you can even give yourself a little massage by rubbing in a circular motion clockwise, which kind of opens up that chakra a bit. This chakra is really interesting because it's about spirituality, not religion, although religion is related to it. If you have an organized religion in your life, then this chakra will be governed by your beliefs about your religion and how well they work for you or don't. And if you don't have a specific religious practice, then that's irrelevant to how this chakra works, because it's still a chakra. So what I mean by that is there are ways in which we can connect with our spirituality outside of a dogma of religion, of course, but what is your spirituality to you, specific to your connection to the collective consciousness and others. So this chakra, sort of a code word for it, is like individuation. If you're having thoughts like isolation from other people, or you feel withdrawn from society, or really, really sad or depressed, or feel lonely, and the thoughts that you have are of separateness from others, then this chakra is shutting down. It's not working properly. You don't feel connection. You don't have higher wisdom in your life, because this chakra does give us wisdom and sort of a higher plane of knowing. Different than intellectual understanding is our knowing and wisdom. So there's knowledge, which we get from books, and brain function, and how to add numbers and plan events and go grocery shopping. Our brain's really good about that kind of stuff, but not about major life decisions that are guided by emotions and intuition and wisdom. So when you can stop and ask yourself, what's my higher wisdom telling me about this situation? You can go through the facts of the pluses and the minuses of, cost benefit stuff, but also follow your gut, get into your body, and ask yourself those higher level questions. So ultimately, it always is happening at all times, is this co-creation with the universe. So from the moment we wake up, and in fact while we're asleep in a slightly different way, but our entire lives are built around this concept of co-creation with the universe at all times. And if you understand, have awareness of your thoughts, you can better direct the traffic of your life. And you can make more empowered decisions about what it is that you really want. If you find yourself, distracted, then it's important to create the time to do your own self-work. You are important, you're valuable, and it's important that you take the time to show yourself that by giving yourself the self-care that you need to be aware of how it is that you're thinking on all these given subjects. And really, if you're happy in every area of your life, then none of this is going to be relevant to you. But if there's any area of your life that you're looking to improve, then identifying your thoughts around it are going to be critical. What are my beliefs about money if I want more of it? If I hate money, then I'm not going to attract more of it into my life. If I have a belief about competitiveness, that I have to be, that life is a competition, or I'm combative, I think I have to fight for everything, then I'm going to reflect that. My relationships are going to be disruptive. I won't ever find peace, and I'll be constantly looking for the next battle. So that's about it for today. Feel free to send me an email, travis@divineinsight.com. If you're interested in learning more about how your own energy system is working and want some guidance on that, feel free to visit my sessions page and book a half-hour or an hour session with me. I work individually, one-on-one, or at a distance. And as we know about energy, it works the same whether you're in front of me or not. I look forward to you having a wonderful week, and thanks for joining me wherever and whenever you've done so. Have a great day.